direct flow through on revenues and profitability. What have you made of this news? And, would you bet on Bharti? It outperformed last year. Do you think it has it in itself to outperform again this year?
Honestly, I've never been a great fan of any of these listed telecom companies, I would say, over the last many years. But if you ask me, the point is the price hikes, if they happen, tariff hikes, if they happen, I think it's going to be certainly a big positive for Bharti, which I think is a prime listed telecom stock. At the present price of 760, 770, 775, I would again shy away from recommending the stock, while stating that if there is a decent price hike coming and if others follow suit, I think this can easily be passed on to the consumer who is going gung-ho and crazy about social messaging and making calls. People have forgotten to talk to each other otherwise, and they're only using the smartphone that they have. I think it's a clear positive for Bharti in that sense, but from the price angle, looking at the overall market condition, I think I'm not in a hurry to recommend the stock, while stating that ultimately this company will end up doing well.
All right, Mehrboon, you've given us your preferences, even with regard to United Spirits and the Sula. But what about Pathan? That's going to be a big blockbuster release, supposedly. And the initial bookings as well are looking up. PVR is up close to around 3%. Now, we had the management a couple of days ago, and they said that there'll be synergy benefits post that merger that comes about. They continue adding screens, and they're optimistic that content will look up. So in turn, hopefully it reflects in their occupancies. Your sense?
Again, multiplex or the theaters or movies being exhibited in theaters right now, I think is again a space which I would stay away from. I think the fact is, yes, collections could improve if the content improves at the end of it all, but I think it fizzles out after 1 or 2 or 3 days, and you wait for another big blockbuster movie to come. And if the word of mouth is not very good for even a movie like Pathan, which has attracted the maximum attention from the media as well as from the public in the last many months, I think ahead of even the South Indian blockbusters, which we are seeing like RRR or even a Bahubali in the past. I think if this word of mouth is not very good, we all know what you and I will be discussing maybe 2 or 3 or 4 days later. Having said that, I don't want to wish as to how the content of the movie will be. This is a business which I think will keep on going well, but from the profitability angle and from the valuation angle, should one buy into it, I think the whole model, according to me, over the next 2 to 3 years, should undergo a major change. That's my personal feeling. If you look at the number of people in terms of the total occupancy of the theatre, I think you will agree with me, Nigel, on this. So not a great fan of this space at all.
Depends on what you're watching, Mehrboon, but I take your point on board, and you're not a fan of this space. It's always good hearing your thoughts, Mehrboon. Thanks so much for stopping by.
Nigel,
please,
let me put it one way, that I think there are there's a lot of improving content which is coming on the OTT platforms, and I have the right to say it because I was not a fan of OTT platforms at all just about a year back, and now I spend maybe 90% of what I'm watching, I'm seeing it on one of these OTT streams. So I think you need to understand that the way we were watching movies, the way we are watching movies, has undergone a change, and I think over the next 2 to 3 years, many more things should be happening.
A very valid point, Mehrboon. Take your opinion on the stock as well as your personal preference on board. Thanks so much for stopping by, Mehrboon, and discussing a whole host of stocks in the last half hour. But let's focus on another one, Nykaa. That's up